Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what I'm doing is one of those frequently asked questions videos about some of those frequently asked questions on the internet about my 5 favorite fish I like to catch, which are snook, redfish, speckled trout, tarpon, and flounder. And today's question is about snook. And the question is, how many different types of snook are there in the world? And I was amazed when I found out the answer. There are actually 12 different snook species in the world. Now we're lucky enough in Florida where we actually have 5 of those 12 species. So there's 6 Atlantic species and there's 6 Pacific species, which I thought was kind of neat too. And their ranges are very similar when you look at where they live, because they're warm water fish, so they need that warm water or they're going to die. But let's go ahead and cover some of them. You know, we're all familiar with the common snook here in Florida. That's what we're all fishing for, the big, fat slobs, you know, that we want to catch. You know, and then the slot, well, depending on where you are in Florida, but you know, it's a big fish. You get big fillets off of it. They're fun to catch and they're good to eat. So that's why that one is such a sought after inshore fish species here in Florida. But we have 2 kinds of fat snook as well. We have the small scale fat snook, which is you know, up and down the East Coast. But they just recently discovered in 2006 we have another species of fat snook. We have the large scale fat snook, and they only live between Sebastian and Jupiter. So they're a very regionalized fish, you know, type of snook. And then we have another very regionalized 2 types of snook, which are the tarpon snook and the sword spine snook. And the tarpon snook and the sword spine snook are southwest Florida. So basically, you know, think about Naples and the Everglades area, yeah, a little north of that, but that's really the area. So you got two species that are specifically the west coast type of snook, which are the tarpon snook and the sword spine, and then you have 2 species that are specifically east coast type of snook. I thought that was neat too. I mean, the common snook is everywhere. But again, in Florida, we're lucky enough we got 5 different species of snook that we can catch. Where I'm at here on the Treasure Coast, you know, I have 3. I can catch common snook and both fat snook species, which to me is pretty neat. But when I was doing this research, there are, for the rest of the world, not Florida, there are 7 other species of snook that are out there, and here they are. You have one called the armed snook. You have the black snook and the white snook, and these would be the counterparts to the common snook, really big. I mean, these things get huge. You're talking, they get 50 pounds, 50 inches, 50 pounds. I think the Florida record snook is 44 pounds and something. So these things get huge, 50 something pounds, you know, that's a big snook. Then you have the smaller versions, which are very similar. Their counterparts would be the fat snook and the sword spine snook type of species that we have. They're smaller, you know, kind of prefer freshwater, brackish water environments. And those are the yellowfin snook, blackfin snook, union snook. And here's the other Atlantic species of snook that I never even knew existed, which is the Mexican snook. Now that's a bigger species too. I mean, it's not huge. I think they got like 28, 30 inches, something like that. But the Mexican snook basically goes, not in Florida, but the Gulf of Mexico down to Belize is where that snook species can be found. So I thought it was very interesting. You know, when I do these things, I'm kind of curious about them anyways, and then a lot of people ask those questions on the internet, so that's when I was researching it. So basically it's like this. The Atlantic Ocean has 6 species. The Pacific Ocean has 6 species, which I think is neat too. And they're all in basically the same area because they all need that warm water. They all basically feed on the same things. They all have really neat characteristics where they start life as a male and then switch over to female later in life, you know, on certain sizes. You know, I know the common snook, you know, once they get 22 inches or so, they'll start flipping over and turning into females. You know, and all of these different snook species do that, which I think is just very interesting. But I don't know. It was a neat question. You know, of all the questions that I've been researching so far for this, I was very interested in this. It's really cool. So the answer to the question, how many different types of snook are there? There are 12 types of snook. There are 6 in the Atlantic Ocean. There are 6 in the Pacific Ocean. And if you're in Florida, you can catch 5 of those different species of snook. So that's the answer to the question. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of these videos and articles, just go to fishyourassoff.com. All kinds of how-to information about inshore fishing. That's it for today. So until next time, we'll see you then. All right, bye-bye.